Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 5, Chapter 30. The Basic Hypocrisy. This day, as well as yesterday, Pandits spoke to you about Sanatana Dharma, eternal religion, and its greatness. I too shall speak only about that, for there is nothing more important than that Dharma for material and spiritual happiness. Sanatana Dharma calls on you to revere the Acharya, for he is seeking to save you from disaster, the flood of birth and death into which you are slipping through ignorance. You have to learn ether, swimming, to escape from the swollen river. Gita, or the Lord's teaching, you have to learn to escape from the swirling torrent of birth-death. The Guru points out the Guri, goal, to you. He reveals the Atma Tattvam, reality of self. A man struggling in a bog cannot be saved by another who is also caught in its slime. Only one standing on firm ground can pull him out. So the Guru must have a secure footing above and beyond the slush of samsara, worldly way. The rishis or sages struggled with themselves and elevated themselves into the purer regions of thought to discover their own truth. They felt the thrill of that discovery and sang of the freedom they gained. These songs serve as signposts, and all who derive benefits therefrom have to acknowledge the debt. How to repay the rishi rina, the debt of the rishis? By study, by reflection on what they have sung of their liberation, by practicing the sadhana they adopted, by proving them right out of your own experience. The three debts to be discharged. There are also three other rinas, debts, mentioned in the scriptures: Pitrana, Matrana, and Devrana. The debt to the father, to the mother, and to the gods. Once there was a great sage named Uddalaka, famous for his scholarship. He had a son, Shvetaketu, and a daughter, Sujata. Among his disciples was Kahulaka, a young man who was well behaved, virtuous, devoted to the teacher, and earnest in his studies. But he could not keep pace with the other bright lads, and so became the target for taunts. The Guru loved him all the more on account of this. Sympathy with his lot grew into grace. Grace resulted in the Guru offering his own daughter in marriage to Kahulaka. While Sujata was pregnant, Kahulaka recited the Vedas as laid down in the disciplinary rules, but within hearing of the child growing in the womb. It heard the recitation, but since it was already aware of the correct pronunciation of every syllable, whenever Kahulaka spelt a syllable wrong, it squirmed in distress. So when the baby was born, it had 8 bends, crooked in 8 places, in fact. Naturally, he was named Ashtavakra, 8 bends. When Ashtavakra was still in the womb, Sujata had persuaded her husband to seek some monetary help from King Janaka to relieve their dire poverty, and when Kahulaka went to Mithila in the midst of a big yaga, ceremonial sacrifice, which the king was celebrating, he had to stay until it was finished. Later, he was forced by circumstances to join a competitive disputation when a celebrated scholar called Vanadena and accepted the terms laid down by the challenger, namely, whoever gets defeated in argument was to be thrown into the sea. Meanwhile, Ashtavakra, in spite of his physical deformity, became an erudite Pandit full of intricate scholarship even while in his teens. His father's fate was kept from the lad by both Sujata and Shvetaketu for many years. But One day he was taunted by someone as one who was ignorant of his father's fate, and the sad tale was revealed to the son. Immediately he proceeded to Mithila and sought entrance into the audience hall of King Janaka. The guards laughed when he wanted them to report to the king that a Vedic scholar, eager for disputation with the court pandits, had come. They slighted him for his tender age, but he said that age was no criterion. At last he pleaded that his deformity at least entitled him to hospitality and sympathy. Parents should encourage their sons by good example. Janaka was struck by the boy's persistence and courage. He ordered that he should be admitted and arranged for the disputation the boy sought. If I start telling you the absurd questions that the court pandits teased him with, and the replies with which Ashtavakra sparred them with, it will take so much time that perhaps we will have to sit beyond Shivaratri even. Janaka tried his best to dissuade him. He told him that he was too young to risk death in the sea. But Ashtavakra argued that Atma Vidya does not take account of the Deha Tattvam, the physical principle of the body. Vanadena entered the fray with the deformed lad resplendent with spiritual scholarship, to the great astonishment of all. The boy gained the upper hand. The aged Pandit squirmed under the questions. He failed. He had to be thrown into the sea. The deformed son of Kaholaka had triumphed over the victor, who had consigned his father to the waves. The mother was delighted that her son had discharged the debt and retrieved the honor of the line. The father must encourage the son by example more than by precept. Prahlada told his father that only the parent who directs his progeny to God deserves obedience and respect. All others are, so far as the sons are concerned, human ogres like Hiranyakashipu. There are some parents who are sorry that their sons are coming to Puttaparthi and who dread that they would start doing puja or japam or namasmarana and give up the habits of smoking or drinking or gambling which they have learnt from their fathers. Such people do not know the value of satsanga, spiritual company, for peace and happiness. They fail to equip their children or themselves with armor against the blows of fate or fortune. Dive deep into your own divinity. The Gayatri Mantra develops the Dehi Shakti, power of discrimination, and so its consequence will be giving up of evil company and the seeking of kindred souls. If satsang is not available, you can keep company with your own higher impulses and noble thoughts. Dive deep into your own divinity. The crocodile is happy and unharmed, and it is undefeatable in the depths of the lake or river. Once it sprawls on land, it becomes the plaything of man, an easy target for death. The depths, they are your refuge, the source of your strength. Do not stray away into the shallows or the sands. You know that the Garuda bird feeds on snakes. Well, once the Garuda went to Mount Kailash to pay respects to Shiva, who wears snakes on his head, arms, wrists, neck, waist, and ankles. When the snakes saw Garuda, they were unafraid. They even dared put out their forked tongues at Garuda and challenged it to come near them. That was the extent of the courage lent to them by the place where they had established themselves. So establish yourselves in the Atma. No worry or grief or pride can harm you then. Several types of prema were spoken about today, but all types are based on the I feeling. It is like a drama in a film story, a plot within a plot. You must feel that all this is just a passing show. that you are the central figure, the only figure, the entire figure. Tattvam asi, that thou art, that is this. The eternal world is fundamentally one, is really Brahman, appearing as many. Tvam is you, yourself, and what does the experience of all the sages tell him? What is the profound discovery embodied in the wisdom of the Vedas? Tat is Tvam, Tvam is Tat, there is no second, there is only one. Play your role as the puppet does. If you act or feel or talk contrary to your nature, you demean yourself. You deny your reality. The Brahmatattvam, reality of Brahman, is Vimalam, Achalam, pure, unshakable. Be pure and unshakable. It is Triguna Rahitam, devoid of the three qualities, dull, active, or balanced. It is pure consciousness. You too must not be agitated by the storms of feelings or the fog of dullness or sloth. Play your role as a puppet does. The unseen director unfolds the drama which he has willed. Once it happened that a village drama, Harishchandra, was put on boards, with Harishchandra and his son Lohitasya selected from one of the two rival factions, and Chandramati being acted by a man from the other. Lohitasya fell dead, bitten by a cobra as required by the drama, and Chandramati, the mother, had to wail. Everyone expected the actor to do that very realistically, but since the boy belonged to the rival party, Chandramati refused to weep. This led to a minor riot. The puppets had deluded themselves into attachments. They had failed to remember that they were acting roles. This is the basic hypocrisy, claiming to be the character in the play, but not speaking the lines, exhibiting emotions, going through the movements, and not making the role a success. Many Pandits claim to be exponents of the Vedas and Shastras, but it is not what they teach that tells, but how they live. Many sing the glory of the Lord, but few live in His constant presence, and in the constant awareness of that glory that fills the universe. Udupi Krishna they sing, but they don't make their hearts Udupi, so that Krishna may come and be installed therein. Revere all human beings as your Lord. There are certain special hours when you have to perform Sandhya and repeat Gayatri. This is very good discipline. Just before the sun rises, the morning rite has to be gone through. Jonnala Gatta, Sathya Murthy, described very poetically the calmness, the color, the eloquent silence of those hours, the waking birds and flowers, the earth that thrills to the touch of dew. That is the time when you too should acclaim the rising sun with the Gayatri. Yesterday, one speaker described the Gayatri as equal to Ramanama. Today, another Shastri said it was the elaboration of Krishna Nama and the Bhagavata. I ask you to fix your mind on any name of the Lord that brings up into your consciousness the glory and the grace of the Lord. Also, train your hands to do acts that serve the Lord that is shining in every being. All men are He. He shaves as the barber. He makes pots as the potter. He starches and irons clothes as the dhobi. He prompts, He inspires. He devises, He fulfills. You take a sheet of paper on which my form is printed, as myself. You revere it. You fall to the ground before it in reverence. Why cannot you then revere all human beings, believing that I am in each of them, in an even clearer form? The Gayatri is a prayer for the development of your intellect, so that you might reach this vision. So let me advise the elders who are here this. You have brought your sons or grandsons or wards for Upanayanam and Gayatri Upadesham here to my presence. You are happy at their fortune, but they will repeat the mantra only if you too repeat it sincerely, and it is good for you also. Repent, therefore, that you have given up taking that priceless drug. Start from today the Sandhya Vandanam, worship of Sun God. Learn it from your son or grandson, keeping aside your sense of superiority. When you have the royal road to reach the goal, why scramble through thorny jungle tracks? Do the Sandhya as prescribed, and you will not be shaken by any storm. You need not flee to a Himalayan valley. You can make your heart that valley by the discipline of the Sandhya. Prashanti Nilayam, April 26, 1965. It will surely help you to achieve the goal. Every religion looks for God, and they look far and wide. But man should know that God is omnipresent and resides in the heart of man. Sri Sathya Sai Baba.